So I'm 8 years old and I'm standing outside and it's raining, and I'm 8 years old and we're standing outside and it's raining and we're at the bus stop, and there's a pile of white carpeting at the bus stop near my house, beside my house. The pile of white carpeting is covered in blood, but different variations of blood, because blood doesn't stay red, blood goes brown. But there's different layers, there's a whole pattern, there's a whole design of different browns laid over one another, laid on top of one another. The carpet belongs to my neighbor, and me and the other 8-year-olds waiting for the bus stand around and stare at the carpet, sort of bleeding this brown water into the gutter. And the carpet belongs to my neighbor, who lives in the semi-detached house next to my parents' house, in a neighborhood where houses don't cost much, and Camaros sit on the driveway, and people come by and steal your Christmas lights off your house to pawn them. And I know this carpet belongs to my neighbor because I've heard him throw his wife down the stairs. And I've heard him do it a number of times. And I've heard my dad call the police. And so we stand there, and we look at this carpet, and we wait for the bus. And my friends dare me to touch it, to reach out, to wipe up some of the mess before it's gone. Because it's garbage day, and that's when everything in the neighborhood comes out. Luckily, the bus gets there before I have to reach out and touch the mess, to be the first one, because it's my neighbor, because it's his house, because I recognize the carpeting. My neighborhood was the one on Halloween with all the open front doors, the single dad sitting on the couch, desperately chucking cans of President's Choice Cola at you that would definitely break your Halloween bag on the first few houses. My neighborhood was the one where my dad would chase a man down the street after somebody had snuck him back and stolen our lawnmower and was pushing it down the street. My neighborhood was the one where I had my lips split at the age of 6 and was told that was just part of how to be. And this was a place in a lovely city called Oshawa where I thought I would be stuck forever. Now, the years passed. When I was still 8 years old, a massive fire grew up behind my house. We lived on the edge of town, on the south side, backed onto farmers' fields, barns, abandoned land, old houses, places people had left to rot. My dad was home for once. We were making food, and the neighbors were quiet. Nobody had been thrown down the stairs that day. Nobody had been injured. The stripper living next door wasn't outside sunbathing, so we were allowed in the backyard. And we could smell smoke. And in this neighborhood, you assume that was somebody had burnt their house down. But no, it was the fields behind us. The fields behind us were aflame, were bright, were filling the air with black smoke. We're filling up the whole horizon because there was nothing there. We were on the very edge. We were in the neighborhood where nobody really wanted to live. And we waited. And we stood at the fence and stared across 2 lanes of blacktop and watched the fire consume everything, swallow everything in its path. Now, my dad was a young dad, so I assumed he thought this was okay. But he stood there with my little brother, maybe 6 months old, and my smaller brother and I was 8 years old, and we stood there and we watched this fire creep towards us, watch it burn down everything in its path, but not us. Because this was land somebody was going to buy. This was land that was going to become something new, a different place, a different neighborhood without that carpeting on the sidewalk, without all the broken leftover pieces put out on garbage day. And this new neighborhood did spring up, like a halo around the city. And that halo still exists now, in Toronto, and a lot of other cities you've seen. Now, the halo here in Oshawa encircled everything in the downtown, the abandoned hotels, the leftover Laser Quest. the libraries, all the old infrastructure, all the things that were supposed to matter. And into this gigantic fire, which I've watched, grew new neighborhoods, new houses, this urban sprawl we've talked about. I'm not going to repeat the kind of roads we're seeing, because we heard that a lot tonight, but you can imagine. And all of this grew just outside the tax base of Ottawa, just beyond town line, which is the perfect denominator for these two neighborhoods. Perfect divider, perfect way to split us. And usually you will think that these developments, these changes, will have a positive effect on the community. Will bring something new up from the ashes. Will clear out the deadfall, make a little room for new people to come along. But my parents did the same as everybody else. We retreated to the halo. We would drive into the city for food and booze and gas and then go back to our homes. They didn't want to be there any longer than I did. They didn't want to come out and see what was left for garbage day. And years have passed, maybe 20 years now, and that old neighborhood that was almost swallowed by the fire, but was spared somehow by 2 lanes of blacktop, is still there. And it hasn't really changed. And things haven't always got better. And there are still these little pockets that remain. And so I could take you back there as I've gone back there. I could take you through the downtown, show you Riley's where the fight in the bar broke out into the street, broke into the pizza, broke back out of the pizza, back into the bar. I can show you the places where they found a homeless man beaten to death under the bridge at my school. I can show you the cases that weren't solved. I can show you the courthouse windows broken 3 weeks in a row. I can show you the police blotter of baseball bats and knives and no deaths, but lots of pain. Lots of places behind the corral or the banshee where they're going to ask you, hey, faggot, and you have to answer. Because a no or a fuck you is a fight. And these things don't always change. I can take you back to my street, to my neighborhood, to that old duplex. I can show you where I stood when I was 8. I can show you where the carpeting was. I could show you how he failed to replace the carpeting. Left old particle stairs behind. Stairs that wouldn't cushion it next time he threw his wife down the stairs. Next time my parents decided they couldn't take it anymore. The next time they decided to move. I could take you there, stand with you on the curb, hold your hand out to the carpet, ask you to touch it. Because some things don't change, and some things don't get better. And not all fires collapse. Thanks.